right, mic check 1 2. Nah, this ain't your average podcast. Welcome to Let the Brother Speak, where truth gets told, feelings get checked, and silence gets no love. I'm your host, Big C, part philosopher, part troublemaker, and full-time advocate for Black men speaking up and showing up. Ride with me are my brothers in thought and co-pilots of consciousness. AppleJuice, the smooth with the sharp takes, and Mike Wells with the calm and sometimes during the storm. We dig deep on everything from mental health to manhood, fatherhood to fakeness in the feed. So grab your seat, grab your drink, and grab your truth. Because this space right here is sacred and unscripted. And before we get it cracking, do the thing. Like, subscribe, like, share, tell a friend. Because when we speak, the world listens. Let the brother speak. Now roll the intro.
Welcome to the show. Cartoons Radio. Coming at you live.
All right, welcome to another edition of Let the Brother Speak. The boys are back. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
What's up? We back.
Yes, sir. The boys are back. What's going on with you? How y'all been doing? So we got to catch up. It's been what, some months now. So
yeah.
We got to catch up with what everybody's been doing. What you been doing, Brother Juice?
Man, it's been a phenomenal whirlwind going on in my life. I think the last time we were here, we talked about a lot of different things, but what's been going on in my life is that more recently, my son went to prom.
He went to
Yeah, so it was junior prom, but he actually went to prom, and I had a chance to actually take him in the building and things of that nature, kind of see the venue, things of that nature. The moment he walks in, everybody like, "Whoa, you look so good, man!" I think he was probably the best dressed in there that day.
Yeah.
Teachers were running up to him and stuff like that, like, "Man, I never seen you looking like this. You look pretty good." So, 17 years old, learning to drive. It's just a surreal moment. You know, you take your son up there and then next year will be his senior prom and he'll be driving himself and going there. So I just thought that was pretty cool. My daughter is finishing up 5th grade, which is another milestone. So she'll be going into junior high. So my son will be a 12th grader. My daughter will be going into junior high. So that's pretty cool as well. This year as well, I'll be celebrating my 21st marriage anniversary in August as well. So this is just like a momentous year, and then it's hopefully, if everything God says the same, I'll be finished with my doctorate program in December as well. So with all of these things going on, all these irons in the fire, God has truly been a blessing in my life and anointed me to move forward and just standing on his promises.
All right, that's what's up. So we're gonna be calling you Dr. Juice.
Dr. Juice in a minute.
Dr. Juice.
Yeah, y'all can still call me Apple Juice. If you didn't know me before this, you gotta call me Doctor.
What's going on with you, Mike? What's been up, man?
I have officially put in my retirement from a job.
All right.
I did my 30, and now I'm looking at other ventures to do. You know, you do something for somebody else for so long, you start to realize I've built their dream, but I haven't built my own.
Wow. Yeah.
And I walked away from my dream a long time ago. So it's now time for me to do for me. So I went ahead and started doing life coaching classes.
Yeah.
So my ultimate goal is to do a specialization in motivational speaking and hopefully talk to younger people about what they need to do with life and not just let life happen. You know, it's sort of like watching a cornerback let life run, what the life called the receiver run by them. And then they go, okay, maybe I should turn around and start chasing it when the ball's already in the air. No, you got to start tackling life at the very beginning.
Yeah.
When that ball snaps, it's time to start running.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen too many people that get in their 20s and they're looking lost. And I'm like, man, by the time I reached my 20s, I pretty much knew what I wanted to do. Sometimes there was bumps in the road, and ultimately college, you know, the funding for college got in the way and dreams got changed. So I said, I got to change my perspective and go this way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Let me see. Not much has happened with me. Had a hip replacement.
Yeah.
So, and I'm back on my feet. I just went back to work. So I'm good on that. You know, I got put out of work the week before Thanksgiving. And I've been off work ever since then. I went back to work last week, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. So, and I'm gonna tell you, it was rough, man. It was rough. I was like, man, because at first I was like anxious. I was like, man, I'm ready to go back to work. I'm tired of sitting at home. I'm bored, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
Got back to work. Didn't take long. Man, I'm ready to go back out. I'm ready to go back out. So, but no, I'm good. I'm good now, So, yeah, me and the wife are doing good. She had a knee replacement while, during our off time too. So we both was holding each other up as we was walking.
Absolutely.
So,
literally, huh?
So it was, and that was a funny sight to see. My niece took pictures of it. That was a funny sight to see, seeing the both of us hope, she stepped with that one. I got to step with this foot. So, yeah, so that's how it went. But other than that, yeah, just going through recovery and getting that back up and going. So I'm good now. So everything is back with it. We back here. We back. We live. We gonna be live soon. And hey, it's time to let the brother speak again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So so anything else? Anything else? So it's been a lot that's happened since we was gone.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing that's currently that's taking over the news right now is this thing with Carmelo Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
You all familiar with that?
Talk a little bit about it.
Go ahead.
I'm not familiar with it.
Are you familiar with it?
I'm moderately familiar with it. In fact, they should have had some type of march today up in Frisco. But there's two sides to every story, and then I always say there's a truth. And a lot of people are up in arms over the situation with Carmelo ultimately killing this other young man. And I don't condone any type of violence, anything like that. But from the understanding is Carmelo was being bullied.
Mm-hmm.
And he went about ultimately the wrong way, which he ended up killing this young man. Now, my stance on this is this. No one knows what was going through somebody's head when they did this. And I always say, be kind to everyone because you don't know what they're going through.
Right.
And in this case, this young man, I guess, just got fed up to that point that it didn't matter to him that he was going to take somebody's life.
Well, from what I understand, they had bullied him before, and kept trying to punk him out in school and everything. We already kicked your tail before, we can do it again. So I think that was like he was already a ticking time bomb, and they just kept pushing him to that edge, So, yeah, it's like
any more insight than that?
In what?
Any more insight than what you all have disclosed so far?
Not that I can find.
Yeah, I haven't found anything that because he and his lawyers have kept everything tight-lipped.
Got you.
The thing that you're getting, a lot of the information is third party, and once again, it's what other people think is going on. And my thought is this: like, I don't want to judge. I tell people I'm not a judge. I understand how that young man probably feels, being that, okay, you've been picked with for so long and you just pop off for whatever reason. Now, that's a problem that we're running into today. A lot of people are popping off instead of trying to find better avenues. Now, I don't know whether or not he's talked to his parents, talked to administrators at the school, something other to stop this before it happened. I don't know. So that's something that nobody wants to talk about. And of course, it being from the school district that it is, and I used to live up that direction, they're not going to let any information out.
Leak out. Okay.
Well, I think what you were saying there, I think it goes back to also the the thing where, you know, if it, say like, had it been the other way around,
Mhm.
and it was the two guys getting bullied
Mhm.
by him, and they said, and they came up and said something, hey, I'm being bullied by this guy, by this black kid, yada yada yada. Every measure would have been taken to stop it.
Mhm.
But when the shoe was on the other foot, when it's the other way around, they usually tell our black boys, "I man up,
Mhm.
quit being a, you know, quit being a punk, quit being a sissy."
Who usually says that?
The white people usually tell our black boys, you know, man up, you know, ain't nobody bullying you, you know.
Yeah, proof.
Right, you don't have proof of that or whatever, yada yada yada. You know,
Okay.
so that's probably why he never said anything to anybody. But see, when you don't say anything to anybody, you just let it build up.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And like I
think
said,
it's
he was already a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, it may be it's just my perspective. It may be a stretch to say that, being that I do work in the school district, and we take any bullying or anything serious, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So any thing is typically is going to be reported. There's going to be a cease and desist and things of that nature. And again, it's like we don't know all the details, and I've heard about the situation, but I'm not familiar with it enough to be able to speak on it, you know, from an intelligent perspective or point of view. I will say that, you know, prayers go out to both families because, of course, someone has lost a loved one, a son, things of that nature. And then someone has also taken a life. And so that's something they're going to have to live with for the rest of their lives as well. But I think it's just my perspective is stretched to kind of generalize from their perspective to say that they would say X, Y, Z, because I work in school districts and I know how serious they take those bullying things, right? And so with that said, I guess I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
And until I get some more information to speak intelligently on it, again, I'll just say prayers out to both families.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not fully versed in it myself. You know, I haven't caught much, you know, I haven't been seeing it. It's been all over the news, but I haven't watched much news lately.
Gotcha.
You know,
Yeah,
I know what's going
like I
on.
said,
I know I just keep saying his name, and I've seen people coming up talking about, you know, I've seen people showing those brothers that I've been seeing on the news feed on Facebook and everything on social media that, you know, yeah, them guys, they've been bullying him numerous times before. So this wasn't an isolated incident. You know, it led up to this.
Right.
Yeah. And that's basically what I got out of it as well. It was like it's more third party more than it was. We can't take the first the young men that were killed, but the young man that did the act of violence, you can't
I guess
get anything from him because the lawyer has made it.
He's hushed up at this point.
Absolutely don't say nothing.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
And where is he at now?
He's on house arrest.
Okay.
He's on house arrest. They had $1 million bond out for him, but it was another judge. She was like, "No, this kid ain't got no kind of priors or nothing." Why? She dropped it down to 250. So he got out, but he's on house arrest.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, the school system, they're very good at keeping tight-lipped on situations.
Yeah. Now I do know they you know, they had a lot to, you know, the non-melanated people have a lot to say about, you know, because of the violence that he did and everything and all of that. But you didn't have anything to say when Kyle Rittenhour went to a whole nother city with his gun, a whole nother state, looking to do some damage. No, but you want to protect him. Am I right?
Absolutely.
You know, so you know, they never see the double standard. You know, we could point out millions of double standards throughout the history of the United States with President Dummy and everything else. You know, but they never see the double standard with them. So, I mean, pointing that kind of stuff out to me, honestly, is a moot point.
I think the funniest thing in current events is the people that are starting to find out what FAFO means. You know, they voted with fear and hate, and now they're getting everything that fear and hate was given to them. You know, Well, I don't agree in opening up our borders to make it easier for people to come in. There are statutes that allow that to happen, and they're calling everybody an illegal because they're there. So now they're going after people that dissent against the current administration, because I'm trying not to say the word regime, the current administration. And because they're dissenting, now they're just trying to deport anybody and everybody because they were either born outside of this country, and hopefully they don't go after U.S. citizens. You know, our Constitution was written that anyone that is standing on our ground has the same overall rights as someone that was born here. So whether they're here illegally or whether they're here legally and then lost legal status, or whether they were actually born here legally or actual U.S. citizens, we all have the same rights.
Yeah. Well, I think we I don't know what to think about all that right now. You know, I'm kind of just like over all of it.
Oh, believe me, I've been well over.
What do you mean you kind of like over all of it?
I mean, they voted him in office, and like you said, they finding out everything that he told them everything he was gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't believe it. You know, they said they probably believed it, but they believed it
wasn't gonna happen to them.
It wasn't gonna happen to them. They thought everything that he was gonna do was gonna happen to black and brown people, and it wasn't gonna affect the non-melanated at all. And now that's where FAFO comes in. You know, because they didn't realize all of these programs and everything that he canceling and shutting down. They was for y'all benefit for real, not us. And in all actuality, even when the programs were up and going, we didn't really benefit from them. There wasn't really a whole lot of black and brown people benefiting from DEI programs, to be honest with you. Not really. You know, they was meant for white women. So, you know.
Well, the thing that I got an absolute kick out of is the fact that they thought, okay, if I deport all these illegals, it wasn't going to affect me as a farmer. When you knew that the majority of your workers were illegal. And now all of a sudden they're begging, states like Nebraska are begging the government to change their mind on it. And now they're sort of trying to backtrack it because they realize, where are we going to get our food from? And
because they ain't going to go out there and pick it.
I saw a video where a guy, his employer called him in and said, hey, we don't have anybody here, so you got to work the fields. This guy got essentially sun poisoning. His face looked so red and swollen, like he got the beat down of his lifetime.
Why he never been out there?
I guess
not.
Wasn't used to it.
No, the owner probably used to go into Home Depot and grab it. You, come on. You know,
and having them work it.
Right. That's usually what they do. They can't do that no more now.
And I keep telling people, I said, don't worry, there are more rights that will be taken. And see, a lot of people get this mixed up between rights and privileges. A privilege is, okay, I'm 21. I am now able to drink. That's a privilege. Driving, I've done everything. I've met the age requirement and I've taken the test. I now have the privilege to drive. Having the ability to speak your mind is a right. That's a right. I can't take it from you and I can't give it to you. You have a right to live. I can take it from you, but now I take away my right to live freely. So people get this wrong. Like some people should have rights and others don't. And that's where I stand. Like I told you, I'm an independent. I particularly don't care for either party because I don't care if the right wing is flapping its arm when the bird is taking a dump on me, or if the left wing is flapping its arm and the bird is taking a dump on me, I'm not shooting the wings. I'm gonna shoot the bird.
Well, if you got a left wing and a right wing, it's part of one whole, right?
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit about, you said people don't know the difference between a right and a privilege. Why do you think that's so?
Because, perfect example, you have people, and we'll say Karens, that have come up to people that were minding their business, doing things that were legal, but because they see them in a place that they don't think they belong, they believe it's a privilege. So let's use an instance like Wesley Snipes was running through his neighborhood and he got stopped by the cops because somebody called the cops and said they seen a black man running through there, not realizing that was Wesley Snipes. One, he had a right to run anywhere, didn't matter where it was, but he also had the privilege that it was his own neighborhood. And we have too many instances where people are seeing things as, oh no, that's a privilege that I get that you don't get, right? So now they're rolling back voting rights, trying to do everything to make it the black and brown communities disenfranchised because they're closing polling stations and they're making it more of a privilege than a right. We all have a right to vote, and they've even changed it over time to add more teeth to what are rights. So before, I think it was 1970, 18-year-olds couldn't vote.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, it was women couldn't vote.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, it was blacks couldn't vote. And then they had polling taxes. So if you couldn't pay the polling taxes, you couldn't vote. So it was like, it was constantly, they found more teeth to give certain things as rights instead of it being a privilege, and my belief is our country is, for the lack of a better term, uneducated about their own governmental systems and what are their rights and constitutional rights.
Why would it behoove us to be educated about it when we have entertainment?
Well, this is the funniest thing, because my wife is from New Orleans and they always say, don't watch out New Orleans because I'm pickpockets. Well, what I've learned, I didn't even learn it from being in New Orleans. I learned it from being on a cruise ship. So this guy's up there entertaining us and he's talking to people and he's patting the guy's wrist and everything, talking to him, and he's giving somebody a hug and everything. He says, hold up, like this. And he's done. By the time the show comes up, he's got 5 people up on this that have come up on the stage. And then he starts saying, hey, wow, I got a nice wallet. He's done taken the wallet from one person, a watch from another person, a necklace from another person. And it's like, they were so enthralled in the entertainment that they didn't realize that something was stolen. And see, we now are so enthralled with being entertained, or we'll just say being entertained, that we're not realizing something is being stolen until it was stolen.
So put those daggone fans up. Pay attention. Go ahead.
The fans. Oh, I got you. What's your perspective on that, Brother C?
Well, on what?
On
being distracted?
Entertain. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's all a distraction. It's all a distraction. So we can, I know some people say, I'm being unbothered. I'm unbothered or whatever, that this ain't, my fight, I ain't worried about them and ever, but you still need to pay attention to what's going on around you.
It's sort of like that poem, and I can't remember what it was, but it was where it talks about when I saw one person being taken away or something like that. I didn't say something. Then another person, and I didn't say nothing. And then when it finally got to me, there was nobody to fight. And ultimately, what we're seeing is we've gotten so complacent, almost like, as I've said before, with a Cajun cooking a frog. A frog is the dumbest creature probably on the planet. But if you throw it in hot water, it's smart enough to know jump out of that hot water. But if you put a frog in room temperature water and you turn the heat up, he's so stupid, he'll sit there and let himself get cooked to death.
You don't think when it gets to boiling, he won't jump out?
No, he won't. They won't.
Okay.
That's a fact statement. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About how many times?
How many times? What have I seen?
Meaning, like any research has some statistical phenomenals, right? Phenomenalese, and so that doesn't mean that it happens every time. It probably happens 75 or 80% of the time, if that makes sense. I think you all bring up some really good points. I was talking with a group of educators today, and I think the complacency piece that you talked about is really prevalent in every facet of life, if that makes sense, right? Not just in our day-to-day life, just not us as Americans and things of that nature. And as you all know, I particularly deal with education. So I'm gonna tell you this quick story I was talking to them about and see if that resonates with you all in any way. But I think what you all are saying kind of hits this on the head, the story I'm about to tell. So when I was in high school, I played football. First, I was playing basketball, and one of my coaches brought me up on the field like, you're an athlete, you should be able to play any sport. And so he takes me up on the football field right before basketball starts. And of course, my coach in basketball is like hot. You're like, don't take him up there. I go up there. Of course, I make the team, but I'm playing receiver. And I'm having a good time playing receiver, right? And I got my routes down. I know the route trees, things of that nature. And then 2 weeks before we call it jamboree or scrimmage, I threw the football to one of my teammates. And coach immediately said, nope, you're going to quarterback. Move me to quarterback on the spot. 2 weeks before we have this scrimmage. I haven't been running these plays from that position. I've been running them from a wide receiver position, right? And so we running this play, which became our bread and butter. We call it 26 dive. It's the tailback. He fakes one way, and then he goes to the 6 hole. The tackle blocks inside the tight end, kicks out, and open up this last hole. Well, when I'm running this play and I'm first becoming quarterback, my feet work wasn't right to get to that hole, right? Right. And so I'm thinking I'm getting there, but I'm not, right? And I know my running back not faster than me, but he knows the play. He knows how to get there. The running back happens to be my best friend, and I missed this hole about 7 to 8 times, right? And of course, these coaches back in the 90s like, run it again, run it again, run it again. Every time I run it, somebody says something to me. The running back says something to me. The center says something to me. Even the defense starts saying something to me. App, you got to get to the hole. Finally, I get to it about on the 9th or 10th try, and we got this play going well. After that, coach sits us all down, and we talk about these 9 times we ran this play. And he starts talking to everybody about this particular thing. He said, App missed the hole 9 times, right? It don't matter if you do your job perfectly. If somebody doesn't do it right, we all fail. If somebody don't speak up and say something to him, he never gets it right. And what y'all showed me today is that y'all a team, because every time he got it wrong, y'all said something to him, right? So I think that goes for us in education and society. We can see people doing wrong right now, but we don't say nothing to them. And all of us need to be together for us to go forward or to make this play work, right? Now, the difference in this situation is that there was a design play to take the ball to the house. As a community, what is our design play? As America, what is our design play? In education, what is our design play? See, we may be late to the hole, but we don't have a plan. We don't know where we're running to. And when you don't know where you're running to, I'll say it like this: autonomy with no direction leads nowhere. And we have a lot of autonomy. We can do what we want to do, but we have no direction, right? And so that's the thing that I've really been in my bag about these last 4 to 5 months, because y'all just told me stuff I don't know nothing about. You see what I'm saying? I've been in my bag. I'm planning. What does this look like? What does my initiatives look like? because I'm going to have to bring this to my people in some shape, form, or fashion, to my community in some shape, form, or fashion, because everything that we have been doing is autonomy with no direction, right?
Mhm.
I'll say this and I'll pass it back to one of you all. Coldest quote I heard in the last 3 months. It says that if a leader does not, say it like this, if a leader does not answer the problem that they have, then the problem becomes the leader, and then the leader becomes the problem.
Mhm.
Right?
Okay.
And so what that means is that a lot of times we just let this problem fester, and then guess what ends up happening? The person that is actually the leader becomes the problem because you never did address that.
Mhm.
Right? And so 2 things before we get out of here. We got to address what we see that's wrong in the communities, and not from a get on you standpoint, in my opinion, but we got to be able to have enough relationship where we can talk to each other, and we got to have some direction.
Mhm.
Mike, send it to you for closing us out.
I absolutely agree with what you just said. You know, one of our biggest problems is we don't come together. We only come together when there's a fight, but we don't come together to educate, to uplift, to edify. You know, we shouldn't have to come together like is always known in our community. We only come together for funerals and weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we need to come together and say, hey, brother, let me educate you on something.
Mm-hmm.
Brother, let
Right.
me help you with this. I see you're going through something. Let me lift you up on this. And that's one of the things I love about this show, is that it's always given a perspective of, hey, this is what we see, and this is how we can hopefully get an answer to the community. So I absolutely agree with what you said.
All right. And that's a wrap for today's session, fam. If anything we said stirred the spirit or sparked your mind, then we did our job. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Let the brother speak.
Shout out to my brothers, AppleJuice and Mike Wells, for always bringing the real. And shout out to you for listening and growing with us. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share this. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And yeah, do the thing. Do the thing. And remember, life is short, but it's the longest thing you'll ever do. So speak truth, live loud, and above all, stay black, stay bold, and let the brothers speak.
Let the